Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. We have breaking news here with Twitter suspending the account of Turning Point USA's founder, Charlie Kirk, for saying that men are men. And no, I'm not kidding. That is why he was ultimately suspended. We also had just 2 days ago, the Babylon Bee's main account on Twitter being suspended, if not banned now, for saying that a biological male was in fact a man. We also have the Babylon Bee's editor-in-chief now, along with Charlie Kirk, being suspended and locked out of their accounts for mocking censorship. This is how far we've gone with big tech, where you can literally say objective truths and you're going to be banned for it. Now, if you're confused with what an objective truth is, a great example would be that we can all look at the sun and say it rises in the east and sets in the west. It's something we can all look at and observe and say that it's true. Well, now we're getting to the point where you can look at a biological male, and if you call him a male, then you're going to be banned or suspended or censored in some way, shape, or form from big tech. And we're really seeing a cancer in society within the United States that has been started by the progressive left here by infiltrating these big tech companies and creating these policies that are being used to censor conservatives whenever those on the progressive left don't agree with those very said conservatives. Now, what exactly did the editor-in-chief Kyle Mann say from the Babylon Bee to get his account locked? Well, he said this: maybe they'll let us back into our @the_Babylon_Bee Twitter account if we throw a few thousand Uyghurs in a concentration camp. Now, it's partly a joke and partly not, but that is literally why he himself is now locked out of his account. Now, what did they say as far as him violating the terms of use here? They said, you may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. Basically, you can't say anything anymore. You can't offend anybody, which is basically subjective, right? I could say anything on the show. I don't even know many of the people that watch this, and you could take something that I say offensive without that actually being my intention. So it's purely subjective on what you take offensive or not. Somebody could take his tweet offensive, and there's somebody like me that wouldn't take it offensive and would kind of honestly just kind of laugh at it and shrug it off. But again, that's where we're at as a society today. You can't just ignore something. Whatever happened to that phrase, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me? When did that go out the window? When did we stop just shrugging things off and just going on our merry way? Now I feel like everybody is offended by everything or anything, and it's causing us to rip from the middle and out. It's causing our social fabric to tear, and it's very hard to replace something like that or fix something like that when it's already been started. So you have here Seth Dillon, the Babylon Bee's editor-in-chief, has now been locked out of Twitter for hateful conduct. You have Adam Ford here, Babylon Bee editor-in-chief, has now been locked out of Twitter for his tweet. So literally perpetuating genocide will not get you booted off Twitter, but making jokes criticizing those will. And we're seeing the double standard here that Adam Ford's highlighting by saying, look, there's those on the left that are violating the terms of service and you're allowing them to stay on your site. But then when you have a conservative that kind of highlights in a satirical way something that you're not implementing that the left is doing, he's the one that's going to get banned, which is obviously a main problem. And I think the greatest person that's really done a great job at highlighting this is Tim Pool. There's a great podcast on Joe Rogan with Tim Pool kind of grilling Jack Dorsey and highlighting these double standards that this leftist platform is implementing upon conservatives, but not those on the left. And we all know why they're not implementing it, because they agree with those on the left and they disagree with those on the right, and they're going to do everything they possibly can to censor them. And in the Joe Rogan podcast, Jack Dorsey and his executive were basically coming up with some cockamamie examples as to why they were implementing on certain people, that they had to look further in depth on certain things and all this other stuff. And it was just a bunch of baloney. But that's what you're going to get from these big tech companies. It says here, and this again comes from the Federalist, the big tech company claimed that Mann violated its hateful conduct policy, which states you may not promote violence against, threaten, and all the stuff that I just listed before. Twitter's action against Mann comes 2 days after the Babylon Bee's account was locked for posting an article headline, quote, "The Babylon Bee's Man of the Year is Rachel Levine." Rachel Levine is in fact a biological male. Like appendages, chromosomes, everything. That person can think that they're a female and whatever, but they can't expect us to think that they're a female as well when we're able to objectively look at them and say that they are in fact a male. But again, I know I'm repeating myself, but this is where we're at as a society. The article simply pointed out the irony in the leftist media naming biological men Women of the Year, using male United States Assistant Secretary for Health Rachel Levine as an example. It was not long before Twitter froze the account for violating its hateful conduct policy. We also saw this with Bruce Jenner, who is now Caitlyn Jenner, for Caitlyn Jenner winning Women of the Year, and somebody saying basically the same exact thing, that men are better at being women than actual women are. So, I mean, it's still funny to this day, to be honest. But again, you know, you're going to be censored and banned for either saying a joke that somebody takes as hateful. And that's a scary place to be in society, because you're not going to be able to have certain conversations with people and seek out those truths, because you're going to be censored and you're going to block out that very truth and go with a narrative that's going to be ultimately a lie. And I'm sorry, a biological male is in fact a male. You can think that you're a woman internally, that's whatever. But to expect, again, somebody to be able to observe something and say that you are something that you're not is just, in my mind, crazy. The big tech company demanded that the Babylon Bee's creator delete the tweet or risk being indefinitely banned for posting, liking, or commenting, but CEO Seth Dillon refused to cave. Quote, "We're told our account will be restored in 12 hours, but the countdown won't begin until we delete the tweet that violates the Twitter rules." Now, this actually happened previously to Steven Crowder, and Twitter was messing with Steven Crowder on this, and he was talking about it on his show, how they would stop and start the times even when he removed certain content from Twitter itself. Now, I believe this also happened on YouTube, where YouTube was also messing with the counter as far as when he was able to get back on. And they highlighted the times that it did stop. And then they came up with some, again, cockamamie answer as to why the clock was stopping. "We're not deleting anything. Truth is not hate speech. It's the cost of telling the truth is the loss of our Twitter account. And so be it." And this is somebody that's standing up for their principles. This is somebody standing up for truth within itself. And if we don't stand up for these truths that are supposed to be self-evident, then we're in big, big trouble as a society, and we're moving further away from those liberties and freedoms that are our God-given right than we were just the previous day or the previous year. So it's a very scary time for us as a society, but that's not going to stop big tech from implementing these certain authoritarian policies upon the American people. The big tech company's lie-based censorship rampage continued on Tuesday when it locked Turning Point USA founder and president Charlie Kirk's account for accurately stating that Levine spent 54 years of his life as a man. That's why he got locked out. I mean, what do you say to that? It is true. He literally did spend 54 years of his life as a man. It's true. But that's, again, not going to stop big tech from doing what they're going to do. They don't agree with it. They're hurt by it. Their feelings are hurt. And whenever your feelings are hurt, you have to get your way when you're the left. We just did a story the other day, I believe it was yesterday, where we talked about Disney's employees are going to do a walkout because they didn't agree with the education bill that's being pushed in Florida, and that Disney wasn't going to support it. Disney was going to stay neutral on it, which you would expect Disney to do. Disney is an entertainment company with amusement parks and stuff. Why would they care about the education bill that's being pushed in Florida when it has nothing to do with their company? But the left had to politicize everything. They had to sit there and throw hissy fits, which is why they're going to do a walkout. And now you're seeing them throw hissy fits when somebody says something they don't like. He had a wife and a family. He transitioned to being a woman in 2011. Joe Biden appointed Levine to be a 4-star admiral, and now USA Today has named Rachel Levine as Woman of the Year. Where are the feminists? He tweeted last week. I've tried not to laugh. It's just, come on. I'm trying to be nice here. Again, look, if this man thinks that he's a woman, whatever, it's not my life. But again, I just don't like the aspect of the censorship. I don't like the aspect of everybody taking offense to everything that somebody says. Again, it's purely subjective. I might have said something that you don't agree with, or you might find offensive or hurtful. It is what it is. You're going to say things that somebody else is going to find hurtful. Does that mean you should be censored? Does that mean you should be silenced? Does that mean you should be removed from your job? Does that mean you should be removed from a platform? No. Everybody should be capable of turning off the TV, not looking at Charlie Kirk's Twitter account, not looking at Kyle Mann's Twitter account, not looking at the Babylon Bee, moving past it. We all are capable of moving past it. But again, the left has to destroy the lives of others, or at least censor them in some way, shape, or form. And what's their response to all of this? What do they say when a conservative like myself does a show and says, look, you're silencing this person, you're censoring them, you're not allowing them to sit there and push their freedom of speech? They'll say, well, we're not really limiting their freedom of speech. We're not really censoring them because they have other avenues and other outlets where they could say the exact same thing. And this is kind of the idea of the left, and they're not fully grasping this idea that when you slowly start encroaching upon somebody's freedoms and liberties, there's going to be a point at some time that you go too far and you're not going to have those freedoms at all. And I always correlate this on the show with the Second Amendment. The more that you encroach upon that Second Amendment, there's going to be a time when there's no more encroachment. You've already taken everything. You've already removed or diminished everything. And that's the argument that I think conservatives and Republicans need to start pushing more. It's not the fact that we're saying that you're removing it now. We're saying that you're slowly encroaching upon removing it as a totality at some point in the future. It might not happen in my lifetime or my kids' or my grandkids' lifetime, but the further you get to that goalpost, the further we are to ultimately not having any freedoms and liberties. It says, everything I said was precisely accurate, Kirk told the Post Millennial, and yet Twitter still suspended my account. That should terrify every American. Absolutely right. Even those who disagree with me, what they want is submission. They have become the enemy of the truth. And Charlie Kirk put it perfect there. They have become the enemy of the truth. They don't want to accept the truth. They only want you to accept their truth. And there is a difference between the truth, their truth, your truth. Again, objective facts are something we can all look at and agree with that is true. Everybody's going to agree for the most part that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But we're at a point here in society where that's no longer true. And now when you say objective facts and objective truths, you're going to be banned for it. Well, that is the breaking news we have for you today. Please stay on top of the Bald Brad Show by liking, subscribing, sharing this video with your friends and family all over social media. And folks, I will see you next time here on the Bald Brad Show.